caught you on a few weeks ago. You were at
a few days ago.
A few days ago at a cafe. You were waiting for a date to show up. How'd that work out?
God, I wish I had brought that up. Look, we're all nerds here, right? You know, I mean, I don't want to assume, but I'm going out on a limb, and you know, I mean, you know how it is. You know, it's just hard. It's hard to find someone that looks the way you want them to look, but then is also into the same things that you're into. I mean, this culture almost specifically prohibits that sort of thing. You know, you can find a Natalie Portman, Reese Witherspoon look-alike, and you can find a woman that's into Star Trek, superheroes, and pro wrestling. But good luck trying to combine the two. Good luck having it where there's a Reese Witherspoon look-alike that's into Star Trek, superheroes, and pro wrestling. What are the odds? I mean, it's like you'd be better off playing the lottery. You'd be better off going to Vegas trying to break the bank at the casino. Okay, this is a photo of me in LA with Ron Brown. He died, and I forget how, but he was like part of the Clinton administration. And that's Dianne Feinstein, who I think is still in office. I think she's still in power. And I think her name was, the black woman is named Juanita. I mean, I haven't seen her in years, but this was back when we were both going to community college. And this was back when I was a loyal automaton for the Democratic Party. You can barely see this button here and here. It's got like red, white, and blue. And it's got a donkey on it. The Democratic symbol, Democratic Party symbol. And so, yeah, this was back when, also too, I just now realized, note the shirt and the tie. I think it's the same tie. No, it's different ties. Different ties, but the same shirt. That was like my one dress shirt at the time. During this period, I was homeless. During this period, I was living in my cousin's garage and still trying to do my part for the Democratic Party. This would have been like late 91, early 92. This was back when Jerry Brown was basically playing the same role as Ralph Nader. And Jerry Brown said that if he had gotten nominated, he would have picked Jesse Jackson to be his VP. And of course that didn't happen, but that was the promise. And then that was when Clinton took it and then ran with it from there. So, I mean, if you want to borrow these, or?
No, that's, we got it.
No? Okay. This is me as a pro wrestling valet. I'm carrying a pro wrestler's robe. Gimmicks vary, there are so many different types, but one of the standard gimmicks in pro wrestling is that of the prima donna, the gorgeous George, the Hulk Hogan, the superstar Billy Graham, the Randy Macho Man Savage, you know, the wrestler where the gimmick is the self. You know, other gimmicks include that of the Wild Savage, that of some kind of monster, some kind of supernatural creature like the Undertaker. Gimmicks include nationalism like, you know, Nikita Koloff or the Iron Sheik. Other gimmicks include, you know, the bizarre, you know, the strange and unusual, you know, like the missing link. But then, you know, those that are, you know, the flamboyant kind, they usually have robes. Now, as you notice in my hand, there's like an aerosol can, and the idea was that, you know, the guy was such a prima donna to the point where he couldn't stand the smell of the crowd. Usually, these types are villains. And so, my job was to, like, you know, douse, you know, or actually, no, I take that back. He was the one, I can't even remember the wrestler's name, but he was the one carrying around, you know, the aerosol can, and then he handed it to me. And again, there I am in that same dress shirt. And then on the back here is the ticket. March 4th, 1989, Crosswinds Community Center, Travis Air Force Base. WrestleMania's tour at the Base Gymnasium, Building 230. God.
Back when you were a wrestler, what was the
manager?
Manager.
Yeah, because I get my ass beat. God, no. Well, I'm sorry, go ahead.
What was the best wrestling gimmick you found?
Of all the ones in the Vacaville Wrestling Federation?
Yeah. Who had the best gimmick?
God, I don't know. Let me see. Man, Mr. Beatbox, Stacey Carlton, in the sense that he managed to get not one, not two, but 3 black women to agree to dress up in like these TLC-looking bicycle pants outfits and pass out free donuts to the crowd. Folks really went over for that. I mean, maybe it was the free food, but you know, that really went over well. They were very coordinated, you know. I mean, in the wrong hands, that gimmick could have backfired big time, but they made it work. It's pretty good. And he was like my primary enemy because, you know, he was the good guy, and then I managed like 2 of like the villains that he would regularly fight: the Mexican Marauder and Anton the Crusher. I don't know how old I was at this point, like maybe 12, maybe. Notice the size of the collar. I mean, you could like hang glide with that thing in the 70s. That's me and my mom. This would have been, I'm thinking this is LA. Now, at this point, I was probably like, I don't know, 6, maybe, 7 years old at the most. Same period. Again in LA, it's a real fuzzy picture. This right here, this is my birthday party in Panama because my stepdad was in the Air Force. Teddy Joyce, Paul Joyce, this white kid named Damien, I forget these 2 names. On the table is a Thor comic book that I got for my birthday. And yeah, this is Panama, this is Albrook Air Force Base. 1980, maybe 1981. No. Let's see. Yeah, I'm thinking it's 1980. Okay, this is my grandfather with the toupee. My grandfather without the toupee. He died of a stroke in 1990. And this was 1987. Notice the very 80s looking outfit. You know, it's my kid sister, same dad, different mom, dad being his son. And then this is my cousin, the son of James Lofton, the football player. This is little David. David is like in Stanford, or at least, I think he's still going to Stanford. He just graduated. I think he's playing football too.
How many siblings do you have?
Amber, same dad, different mom, and I've got 2 little brothers, same mom, different dad, both of whom live in Everett, Shoreline, up there somewhere. This is my dad. It's like one of the few decent pictures I have of him. And this is his funeral program. I don't know if I brought this up before, but he was in a park one night, and 3 or 4, it's hard to say, 15-year-olds jumped him, beat him to death with lead pipes because in order to become initiated into a gang, you have to go out and kill somebody. And so it was kind of a luck of the draw sort of a thing.
Tell us more about that.
I wish I could. I mean, I don't know more as far as details. I just could tell you that I never really knew him.
Are you sure it was a gang?
Oh well, it was. This is what was told to me. The premise was that, you know, these were teenagers who, you know, teenagers who were told in order to join a gang you have to go out and kill somebody. You know, I mean, it's pretty common. It's like, you know, it's because, I mean, gangsters kill people, so you need to be able to prove that you can do the job, and yeah.
What year was that?
1986, October 1986. And yeah, he never knew him. Wish I could have, but he didn't want to know me. He you know, he just, I mean, he was like, let me see. He was born in 49, so that meant in 1968, he'd have been like 19. I see, he basically had me far too young. He just couldn't take responsibility. This is my uncle's house. My uncle being Michael's little brother. And James Lofton is number 80, Green Bay Packers. He played football for the Packers and then for the Raiders briefly, and then he was with the Buffalo Bills for like the 1990-1991 Super Bowl, and they lost like barely, like by a field goal. So anyway, that's his, I don't know, what kind of car is that? Porsche? Corvette? Whatever. And then that's his wife, Beverly. That's David, who you saw earlier, right? That's David. David, a bit older at this point. I think this is 1987. And this is like 1990, so it's like 3 years later. And by this point, little Daniel has been born. And there I am with David and Daniel in front of the house. And this is me in San Francisco. This is also me in San Francisco wearing the same outfit. I think this was, it was the same day. This was a former neighbor of mine, Bobby Smith, and he and I lived in the same apartment building on Van Ness and Union, I think it was. I can't remember when. It was somewhere on Van Ness. We had a view of the Golden Gate Bridge, and then this is us on the Golden Gate Bridge. This is him taking a picture of me looking out over San Francisco. This is 1990, like the summer of 1990. Yeah, it was the summer because you can barely see. That's the Warren Beatty, Dick Tracy movie T-shirt that you see me wearing there. And let's see. After San Francisco, my grandfather died of a stroke. Left me an inheritance. Left a lot of the family an inheritance. Each of us was allocated like $30K, but we didn't get it all at once. And while we were waiting to get it, I was homeless, and then the inheritance came, and the guy that helped me out the most, my best friend at the time, Tommy Gunn, Thomas Karl Berger. His parents are from Germany, and that's his sister Julie. And after the inheritance came, a month later was his birthday, and I had this cake made, and he's a hardcore alcoholic. I mean, just total lush. And so, but also too, he's like one of the greatest minds in physics ever. Got MacGyver beat. I mean, just extremely smart. And I believe, he goes to the Ashland Shakespeare Festival every year, and that's what you see there is a Shakespearean T-shirt. And as a joke, when I went to get this thing made, I got like the little bitty bottles of vodka, and then like I told the baker at the supermarket, I want you to include as much vodka as you can in the cake without it losing its consistency and falling apart. And he did it. The baker did it, and then so like we had this vodka cake, you know. And there he and I are again. This is us in San Francisco. This is a neighborhood called Ingleside, which is right around the corner from San Francisco State. And so this was like, I mean, I had just gotten this check for $25,000, and so we were just, it was just he and I against the world, And then this is Tommy Gunn's parents. And this is Christmas of 1992. And this is a photo taken the same day that this was taken. So it's like, you can tell it's like the same outfits, and then I had the picture framed and autographed. And this is Tommy Gunn's dad and Tommy Gunn's mom. And this is us again, Christmas. Yeah, I mean, it's like during this period, this is in Tommy Gunn's house in a place called Fairfield, California, which is the same town where I graduated from high school. And I used to hang out there a lot. I mean, it's like during the time in which I was living in my cousin's garage waiting for my inheritance, these two took me in, two full-blood Germans, straight from the old country, took me in like I was family. These are, wait, hold on one second. David? Hey? I got something for you, hold on. Okay, these are two shots from San Francisco State. After I got the inheritance, all the money went toward paying for San Francisco State. And it still wasn't enough. I still had to take out student loans, colleges, you know. Cuba ain't got but 2 cash crops, cigars and sugar cane, and yet they're able to make sure that all their people can go to college for free. And we don't have an excuse. I can't remember this guy's name, the Weird Al Yankovic looking dude. This guy was named David. He wanted to be a filmmaker. At the time I was a film major too, so we were going to the same classes. Those are Barbara Boxer, as in, you know, the senator. Barbara Boxer boxers. That was like the thing at the time. This is the fall of 1992. This was the election that she won, and I think that was what made her go from being in the House of Representatives to senator, if I recall correctly. And I was sporting my Barbara Boxers, you know. This is me wearing, you can barely tell, but this is me wearing an anti-censorship t-shirt. And oh shoot, let me see, Lori, and then I forgot her name. But this is us in the dormitory, and some of these pictures I still have today. The picture of Jake Sisko from Deep Space Nine, the pictures of Roddy Piper, the African King poster, and yeah. And then this was like, you know, the TV and the VCR and the video tapes here were all bought with the inheritance. After I started going to San Francisco State, I went to a seminar held by a guy who was a reporter in Marin, California, which is north of San Francisco, which is the same part of California where Lucasfilm, where George Lucas's Skywalker Ranch is. Okay. Oh, excuse me. Now this guy in the late 70s exposed something called the Synanon cult. And when he did that, it made like huge news. And the guy that played Skarsky from Skarsky and Hutch played him in a TV movie.
Can you go into what the Synanon cult was?
I'd have to get online and research. I don't know. I just assumed that they were like some kind of dangerous cult, you know, something akin to Jim Jones, you know. And so he spoke at San Francisco State, and he and I got to talking, and he invited me to his place, and this was the weekend that I spent at his place. This is his boat, his wife, and we're just chilling. And yeah, you know, he took the picture, and yeah, great guy. Somewhere in there is a letter from him. Maybe I can find it, because he was one of the people who early on endorsed my first book. Let's see. Because I can't think. Ah, here we go. All right. David Mitchell. Where is the photo? Okay. So this is David Mitchell's boat, David Mitchell's wife. Yeah, so these two letters are from David Mitchell. And again, David Mitchell is the guy that exposed the Synanon cult. Yeah, you know. Although A.D., my first novel, was the first effort by a young black novelist still in college to provide compelling insights into the rhetoric and rituals of the Nation of Islam. Some historical events described by Lofton seems so improbable that the author, like Ginsberg and Howell, feels compelled to say in effect this really happened. A.D. is a fascinating look at a young black author's frustration with American society and his urban vision of what an ideal society might be. Let's see, what else photo-wise? I think that's it. These were taken in Washington State. You know, I don't know if you want them, because I've always, you know, I don't know, they might come in handy. And want that one?
Definitely. We'll get these back to you real quick. I can deal with them. You're right there.
And then once Lynn shows up, we can see the framed baby picture.